all of us were clapped by it, including the one that was just killing it. One of my friends that was just like, she used to slap everybody, right? Yeah. And Mrs. Peth is now telling us, this is going to finally reflect in your results, okay? And my response was agitation with her rubbing it in my face. I had to tell you that story. God has been using it over and over and over again, but I have been lazy to share that story because my stories didn't and they're just so into and there's a lot that I have to share here. So yeah, whatever. I finally shared it, and when the Lord gave me understanding pertaining that situation in school when I was in grade 10, I was like, this is how they feel. Mrs. Petha, you're putting me on the brink. You're putting me on the brink like my toes. You're putting me on the brink like the toes around my shoes. I passed with magna cum laude at varsity. You're putting me on the brink. But it's just my general tone. Yeah. The Lord has been showing me that a lot of these people that belong to the occult Bout that are whatnot, they've been getting away with murder for so long that those who have been rebuking them, I being among them, are pretty much their Mrs. Pathers. Do you understand? Yeah. It's saints that have just been on some, one day judgment is coming, one day comeuppance is coming, one day a full circle is going to be done, and you're going to be met with your day of reckoning. One day. And in the run-up to that one day eventually arriving, hasiki hokradi anyway king, hasiki 90% king anyway, hasiki 95% anyway king, hasiki 100% anyway king, until finally you start to produce a script. 65% is not bad for some students. Mara, when you are just used to soaring, killing it, in comparison to everybody else, you're gonna feel the pinch. You're gonna know that I got 65, it's a pass, and some people would basically kill to have this mark. But not me. Not Karabo. Not Pinky or whatever might be a made-up name of some other friend of mine. We are used to different kinds of results, and so 65% is just painful to receive when you are used to getting 88. It stinks. And some people will never understand that sting, because 65 is enough for them, or it's what they can achieve. So, occult practitioners, you are wealthy and you are successful in ways that don't make no sense for your skill set. Latella. And when saints warn you, you laugh at us, you make jokes, you say that our toes are on the brink like our bottom lips quivering when we complain. Well, we keep on teaching, standing in front of classrooms, awarding you understanding. Lenient with leg room, giving you the gospel, just like Mrs. Petha let us sit anywhere good blessing. You don't take this as a privilege and honor that in this class you get to sit wherever you want to sit. You're not subjugated to the draconian rules of sit there of other teachers. With that leg room, you don't appreciate the freedom you've been given to basically make the right decisions, and you play around with it. Yeah, well, you've been given time. It's written in God's word that He is slow to anger and abounding in steadfast love, not willing that anybody should perish, but that all should come to a knowledge of Him. You've just been left to do strange things for a while, and God has been calling you gently. God has been calling you with peace. God has been calling you with meekness and with lowliness. But now He's calling you with an iron fist and a rod. He has been lenient and gentle with you. I also used that analogy the other day of that woman that busted us and we were annoyed that when we were not supposed to be jollering. Yeah, when you are at the height of entitlement to act like a barbarian, you will treat Mrs. Petha like she ain't Jack, and you will laugh at her every time you get your exam script and you've got 95%. Yeah, but the day finally arrives when Mrs. Petha is awarded her day in court, where she will see that student Omo Borang at the back of the class buzzing like a bee, irritating everybody, causing a bunch of hysteria in the room, that preposterous baboon that is the bane of everybody's existence. Finally, Utlotola, 62%, and it's on a sliding scale, do you understand? It's on a downward trajectory, because next time it's going to be 58%, and then the time after that it's going to be 30%, and then the time after that you're going to fail altogether for being absent from the exam. You're not even going to be able to pitch up for your day. To rock up more life thing. To be a dad, to be a husband, a wife, because God will just take you out altogether, knock you out of the earth, and you will finally endure eternal consequences for your actions. The 65% is indeed, frankly, quite the equivalent, the tantamount of the judgment that you get here on earth, but it's not yet the final judgment. It's not, like I said earlier, the judgment with a capital T. It is some kind of preliminary or some kind of peri-mortem wound on your body in your first death, where you still have an opportunity to make like Lazarus and come forth and live, because God has given you the gospel and you've responded. You have an opportunity to not have to die from your wounds, but then you finish yourself off anyway. I've actually been brought yet more understanding. As you guys, like, another story that the Lord is giving me, another sad thing that the Lord is using to help me give understanding as to how He works with the wicked. I have a younger brother that's passed away, alright? Half brother, died away from gang violence. Gang violence because my weekends are, right? My dad's son, barely ever knew him. However, he was my brother, so I was not happy that he died. I was bereaved. I already spoke about this event, right? This thing that happened, one of my other videos in the run-up to. But I did not share how my brother's death came. My younger brother, he was 22 at the time of dying, and I was already in my 30s in this persecution, right? Because he was much younger, born to my dad's second wife. This young man, when I was setting my dad up, when my dad stayed in Rensig, I set him up and I was paying his rent. I moved my dad into a 2-bed apartment for the sake of my brother and for the sake of him having a proper relationship as a father over a son, because I wanted him to be a better foundation to that boy in a way that he just wasn't to us. But my dad was a drunk, so he kept on dropping those balls. That kid by then already was messed up with an experience of growing up as a young black boy in the Gassies. You either go one of two with a single mom. One of two directions. You either become one of those responsible kids that, in spite of your circumstance, his brother was like that. His brother that was his half brother, born to the mom's first boyfriend or husband or whatever. Despite your circumstances, you make a better thing out of yourself, and so you break out of the grain of or you could just end up getting recruited into gangs. Unfortunately, my baby brother became a little gangster. Do you understand? And what have you. I knew this about him. He was very intelligent when he was in high school. There was a season when he went to my high school, Sir John Adamson. Apparently, allegedly, he was slaying everybody because my dad is that beastly mind, right? And I was proud of that, to hear it when I was working in corporate South Africa. That was his status quo. Really killing it in schools. In school, teachers proud. And he went alright. Just like one of my cousins, like I said, kids born to single parents in the Kasi. Born to single moms. One of two directions. You can either somehow miraculously come out alright, despite I'm a circumstance, or I have a cousin as well. Or you can go by single parent. Yes, I mean, that's why I'm trying to make me raise sons that are going to inevitably just, go hard, buddy. Whatever, cool beans and bananas. So now we're talking about not so much my cousin, but my brother, right? This young man chose the path of Ubukinsa. And when I say Kinsa, I'm not speaking, he wasn't prolific. He wasn't exactly a kingpin boss. He was not one of those that kill. He was a petty criminal, like robberies, stigma, pickpockets, whatnot, right? That was my little brother. Young man with great promise, but it was ripped from underneath his feet, alright? So because I knew of this history, of the things that he was into, I remembered that when he was in school, apparently he was killing it academically. I was like, yeah, this boy, there's so much more that can be done for him. So I set my dad up with an apartment where it is that there was a bedroom for my brother, so that he could finally be a responsible dad. That's like a joke. I tried. I'm trying to explain to you, paid rent for him in a proper. I moved back home to my mom's house to try and finish off my debt. But then I scooped my dad out of pretty much practically from the streets. Paid rent, rent that could have been my rent in my apartment. A relatively decent style. Do you understand? In 2-bed, not even a 1-bed. So paid that extra cost for no other purpose but to have a second bedroom in his house, so that my brother can, for weeks on end, maga food. I understand, number one. Alright? Yeah. And so therefore have some kind of, and also for us to be close to him. And so finally foster a relationship that we didn't have growing up as siblings. Because my dad was a deadbeat, dead or irresponsible that did not make sure that his kids saw each other. So I basically embarked on a mission to change that, right? When one particular day was I'm just as I wanted, I then went to go see them. And of course, I'm a Christian. So of course I evangelized them. The gospel. I was like, wait, do you know Jesus? I knew that the answer there was of course no, because he was still involved in shoddy stuff. But I felt like I was in a position to give him the real gospel, to help him along and help him gaze. I didn't know right now as he is living it. So I essentially tried to evangelize him. Okay, I tried to influence him unto Christ. And his response when I asked him if it's about Jesus, he was like, yeah, I am born again. I'm saved. I'm like, why do you say that? What makes you say that you're born again? Why are you confident that you have an assurance of salvation? And he said, because I can pray in tongues. And I was like, that is not the gospel. That is not how this works. Receiving the gift of speaking in tongues is not evidence of your salvation. Some tongues are not of God. They're not legit. It is about your fruit, etc. I sat him down and I explained the gospel to him. One day, this thing at Universal Church, that one there in downtown Joburg. This thing called Universal Church. I imagine that maybe his mom is the one that took him there, right? I go Universal Church, he knows that he's born again because he can speak in tongues. That's why I get y'all in these churches, like, y'all need to just study the word of God, be Berean, and so therefore know when to walk out of a church when they start speaking some things, alright? Anyway, whatever. So I tried to uproot this doctrine out of him, and throughout that particular weekend, and he appeared responsive. At some point, he was reading the Bible in his bedroom, whatnot. Yeah, type setup thing. He looked like he was responsive. And then on the Sunday, I picked him and my dad up at that Baptist church where I used to fellowship. And he just appeared very abiding and pretty much happy to embrace the words of truth. Well, I mean, as the weeks would progress, months, years, I would come to learn that whatever seed I planted did not bear any fruit because the stories were still coming. Hey, let's say his name was Tepo. Tepo's this, Tepo that, Bamu Totseko, Shopong, I would say this. Okay, he's in to Bamu Arrestile, Okomoroka police station, blah blah. I was like, yo, it gospeling him, this guy, he did not take it. It did not bear fruit. It did not bear fruit. I tried, alright, and never again got an opportunity to keep on trying to evangelize him because, I lost everything. I lost a job, I lost respect, love, mercy. My dad went awry, everybody went awry on me, and when then I was suffering, I had my own nonsense to deal with. I didn't have time to then focus on discipling him, and even then he needed a man to disciple him, but I thought that I was going to be the first route to sort of kind of, I tried to disciple when I was still employed and able therefore to take care of me and many other people. When I lost everything, I could only focus on taking care of that I don't get killed by these harsh conditions. Alright? So I could not focus on him anymore. But the stories just kept coming, right? The stories kept coming. And then because he kicked around like a soccer ball from house to house by my very persecuting family, I then was made to live in a retirement village with my dad. This time around is being paid for by my older sister. Yeah. During that time, it's a long story, Papa. Wait again, I was made to live at Cosmo City with him, blah blah. It's 8 stories, but this here that I'm trying to highlight is what happened with my brother. One day when my dad was literally wreaking havoc in my life, kicking me out of his house, to my family treating me like nonsense, that same night, my brother at a party somewhere, Soweto, got shot and he died at Helen Joseph Hospital. At the height of sin, with from a gunshot wound that he finally caved to, like I said, in the hospital. And at the time of dying, he was involved in bukinza, like just unruly activity. And what do Jula? He got into a fight there, and he got shot and died at Helen Joseph Hospital. 1 week earlier, 1 week before my little brother died, he was only 22 years old when he passed away. 1 week prior to his death, he came back home. Go in the widow, go Dube, right? Figure Jardin, Amanzi, Nepkasi, all over his body. He had been beaten somewhere. At a party, yet again. He got into a fight with Figure Jardin, Epsugunje, Kokodeluma. He lived go the back of his mom's house. Right? Because he needed to be dressed. His wounds needed to be dressed by people who care for him. So his mom and his grandmother. He is like, his shirt is just drenched in blood. Okay, like his body, you could tell or something that they can cut. Yeah. He was cut and drenched in blood and got dressed by his grandmother and his mother. On some table. Get your act together. One day you're gonna end up dead. Get your act together. One day you can't carry on with this life. You can't carry on. He's like, yeah, okay, ma, whatever. Yeah, okay, sure. Yeah, do you understand? 1 week later, in that state, your wounds are a week fresh. That's why I get a perimortem. You know how there are some dead bodies that are found at the scene of a crime or whatever, and then forensics are able to say with success, based on the observation of the wounds, that these here wounds are perimortem, while these are postmortem. Because of the coagulation of the blood, because of how a scar tissue that has gathered around the wound, to evidence, therefore, how long this wound has been here for. Therefore, it not being responsible for that which killed this person finally. then this person did not succumb to these wounds. They were here before this person died. My brother had a whole bunch of not necessarily perimortem wounds, but maybe perimortem, but wounds that he had on that was basically still with bandages and like the plaster on them. Do you understand? From literally 1 week earlier. 1 week earlier, he was cut, bandage over here, patched. Bandage over here, patched, scar, plaster, Cincinnati blue eye, visibly, and he went partying in that state. Probably ouchie. He was probably ouchie when he was being hugged. Oh no, don't touch me there, boy, I'm broken. Oh, don't touch there. He was ouchie, and yet he went partying. He was supposed to recuperate. Come on, don't go to the party at least for a month, dog. Because right now, all compromised, clearly. Yeah, that's what's good. He went to ipati limazwe kanjalo, and at that party, wabulala. And I can't say that who killed him. I still don't know. I don't know how that case unfolded because the mom she gave us a whole bunch of attitude at the funeral. In Gatitina, we participated in a meeting against the son. Honey, you married Inja Ibobi Ehobulang. That was irresponsible to all the wives. All of us as kids were abandoned by him. My mom and you. No, too. Bafazi, Bakona. You all both didn't get maintenance. You both didn't have the kids taken care of. So our absence in your son's life is not because of us, it's because of your ex-husband. So and acting like Tina, we were not there for our baby brother. We were not his mother. We were siblings too. And siblings are subjugated to the tyranny of their irresponsible parents. But she gave us that kind of attitude on some old little woman. Y'all did not even make an effort to make sure that Siabonana, and we didn't. My sister and I did not go out of our way to avoid him. The party here that's responsible for all that lack of connectivity between us all is this man that is your ex-husband with my mom. That's responsible for why abantwana benu bangazani. So ngicela ungasiningezi attitude at the funeral. Anyway, whatever. So because of the attitude of the mom, at this particular juncture, I didn't get to pretty much follow up on the case. So did the guy finally get caught because of my fallen out with my dad? Also, by the time we were caught, whatnot, the way I was so fallen out with my dad, I just didn't get the information. So I don't know if they finally apprehended the guy or what, or whether or not the person who beat him up the night before, the week prior, was the same one. But one thing that is certain is that my weekends are when you're involved in just uburaf, bekasi, and you guys are amandu every so often, you hijack cars every so often, uzoba nama enemies in the manini. So it's just any man's guess really who could have killed him, and it might be a completely different little Ginsery that killed him versus the one that beat him up the prior week. And I don't even think it's the same guy, because the one the prior week that beat him up, if at all he had an ability to carry a weapon around, he probably would have just killed him the week prior, right? But the shofar blast of warning was the week prior. It was the week prior. The one that put those wounds on him. That was God's olive branch for likely my sake, likely for his mom's sake, the sake of people who were praying for him. On time, I will give your child a week. I will give your child warning. Perimortem wounds, essentially, prior to the final blow that's going to take him to eternal condemnation. I sit here with clarity of conscience, however sorrow of heart, heaviness of soul, bereavement of spirit, but clarity of conscience to say that my brother is in hell today. He is in Hades, and it is not something that is comfortable for me to say, but it is an accuracy. But I can also speak with confidence that in the run-up to his death, he was plenty warned. First, the Lord brought me into his life those years ago, tried to evangelize him, tried to uproot false doctrine out of him, and then a week before he died, he was warned that this environment is not good for you. His mom was a praying woman, and his mom was also all up in the church and whatnot. I believe. I can't imagine who else would send that boy to a universal church, because there's no way that he would go there by himself. So Mwateng probably attended Kerekeo. So yeah. So the mom probably tried to evangelize him, tried to speak sense, tried to get him to love the Lord, but he just didn't. And that's the thing that I also keep saying to women. When you let yourself marry unregenerate men that don't make sense, it's going to be so hard for you to evangelize your children, because kids are more easily influenced by their dads than their moms, because men are given headship and the patriarchal scepter to head families, and so God also gives them the spiritual power to influence. So therefore, a man that gets born again in a family is more likely to reach his wife and children for God than a woman that is the only one that gets saved. The stats are actually such that about, I believe it is something like 3% of people get reached for Christ. My situation is like that. When they're a child in the family that gets born again, the likelihood that you're going to reach your mom, your dad, your siblings for Christ is about 3%. Hence why I haven't reached any of my family members. If a mom gets saved, apparently it goes up to like 27 to 30%, where it is that she can influence her husband and her children to get born again. But if a man gets born again, apparently those odds skyrocket to 70 to 90%, that his conversion will likely then convert his wife and his kids. So therefore, when you allow yourself to be unequally yoked to an unbeliever, when you allow yourself to marry a man that is not of God, or when you allow yourself to be a single parent, you are going to struggle to truly evangelize abantwana benu, because men are not only the chosen gospel leaders of the generation, right? They're the teachers that God has set apart to indeed do that, pastor our churches, be the shepherds, but they also are just the spiritual head over households, over families. God is the So all of your attempts to evangelize a wayward boy that is into ubukenza sometimes just falls on like just infertile ground, because why did you have a baby by that guy as a professing Christian? Do you understand? That uzokuhlukumezisa umoya over indodana yakho that inevitably becomes generationally cursed like his dad, just following in that grain. Do you understand what I'm saying? Generational curses are like a whole thing. Spiritual genes are a thing. Do you understand? Where it is that you will follow the grain of your parents unless you sever that stronghold with redemption, so that the soul that sins will be the one that dies, and that you who comes to Christ will then be the one to live. Do you understand what I'm saying? Anyway, whatever. So this brother of mine passes away a week prior. He gets beaten up a week prior, and then the week coming, then he finally dies, and it was all very tragic. And at his funeral, it was just, hey guys, you know when impilo yakho was meaningless, you can see it at a funeral. I had an ex-boyfriend naye oshone at Baragwana Hospital, however, having gotten into a car accident at Killer Road. It's called Killer Road for good purpose. Ushone at the age of 30 on the dot. In the run-up to Mea in the sense, I dated him when I was just a teenager, 17 and 21. He died at 30. Do you understand? And me since I go di partying, unatwa partying, unanwele, uneba neba, yeah, chasey wa go Killer Road. The accident apparently killed one guy instantly. He went to hospital, died there, and then these other twin guys lived to tell the story. All very sad. But at his memorial service, I went there with my cousin and my boyfriend at the time. Dinebe, like at a memorial service, the collage of pics that they put up. Baby zang slideshow. Hebana, jive dog. And I wasn't even born again at that time, so it did not grieve my spirit. It just was an inappropriate life for a 30-year-old. Do you understand? It would grieve a saint by mere virtue of them being a saint and so being righteous and purified from the things of this world. At the time, I was not yet righteous, and yet I was grieved by just how fruitless this life was. Mojaivo. Slideshow. Sa funeral ya gage. Inetletse nje fela ka di picture mako ba busy di amsterdam up in the sky. Party. At that stage, he already had a daughter. Do you understand? And so, no, you would imagine, uthi lo muntu lona uqoba di nepe nje fela a le ko parking le ngwana, or ba ile ko Gold Reef City le baby mama, or ba le ko first birthday party ya ngwana, hona le mme le also high in the background ka di party treats and whatnot, right? Photos of a life that looked like it had purpose and meaning. Instead, while one out of every 20 pics that would go past the slideshow, only one would be of him and his daughter. But the rest, party. This guy was 30, just a party. And I remember thinking, why didn't the mom vet this? Why didn't the sister, the younger sister, vet this slideshow? Why didn't typically other drunks to do the slideshow? Because it was embarrassing. It was embarrassing. Like, at some point when you are looking at the photos of this guy go to slideshow, go partying and nowhere but. And he was also, my ex was not exactly the biggest guy. He had been maintaining muskroni. You could see he never filled out. He never eventually walked in bunna. 21, 22. Yeah, he was still looking like that, except kind of finished off. Very handsome guy. Barely could you see all that. Yeah, he was shorter than me. That's what's good, because back in the day, not by choice, just because it's a crash. I have it. Whatever. That guys, that ex of mine's with the memorial is pretty much similar to what my brother's funeral was like. My ex's funeral was just like any other regular funeral. It was held ko Regina Mundi ko Rockville. Any other young person's funeral, when they pass away, at the end, after tears, get jive nje, ubhlapa bedebakkery. Yeah, Mara, the memorial service was the one that basically showed me how meaningless people's lives are sometimes in the end. Akunanto enegeth nje ebonakalayo that is presented ngempilo zabo ebaziphilile. And my brother, yena he azange khona ya ko memorial service ya teng. I went to the funeral. And Hashem, same thing, like with my ex-boyfriend. Kugcwele nje other little ganseries. And like, go burial site thing, go libitleng. They had the brazen audacity, after his casket was lowered, to literally fire shots in the sky at his funeral. His friends, they were also gangsters, had the brazen audacity to unleash rounds of ammunition in the sky. Bakwatisa wonke umuntu at the burial site, bakwatisa the mom. They angered everybody to a point where there was instruction by abazali and everybody, hamba uyokhuluma nabangani ba gaTshepo to stop lento lena. This is a funeral. Please, lo muntu lo ubulelwe yile life, and we don't want to proliferate this nonsense. Go funeraling. Have some respect. Like yabo ginza nje fela, where they are celebrating a crime and saying we're gonna get labantu abambulele. And then at the, not after tears, because we don't attend, we don't do that right anymore. Already after tears, of course, ki le mo go jewang dijo teng after funeral. Ko teng di mpentse yana tsa gagetse go bola. Impintse zakhe ezibolile, right? That were involved in this life together. Ke ha di khona tsa bona di ntse di together, di sentse ne ba etsa di huta pebe ba bora batho, right? And everybody, and then they would every so often have a conversation or something. Labantu ba bulele uTshepo sibathola, and then get back to them, back to again revenge. We're going to take out revenge. And then again, not after tears. This is not even after tears. It's not the party that they all go to go and celebrate a person's life, right? You go, habona mo go caterwang. Hona go after partying, not after party, so mara go jewang dijo jwanong after funeral efela. Ke ha ba thunya more rounds of ammunition ko teng. Ba. In memory of Tshepo. I was like, yeah, ne? Meaningless lives of worldly people. Yeah, guns in the sky. No, not because the soldier is dead. And it's a whole honorable procession. But because a gangster is dead. And it's how gangsters say farewell to fellow gangsters. And they will disturb the peace of the family. And memorial services will be riddled with nothing but party life. Meaningless lives. Where what it is that a person has basically amassed for themselves that is of meaning, of value by the time that they get to the age of, by the time that they perish. Do you understand? And those who are sitting there to pay their respects are wagging their heads on some kanti nomuntu mekaphila yeah, njefela to pass the event njefela as a formality, like to just get this out the way. We of course attended these events, mara it was shameful to see ukuthi lo muntu uvaleliswe kanjani. It was shameful. Do you understand? Yeah, well, my late brother, the story that is as near and dear to home as I've communicated to me, right, is similar to us in grade 10 under Mrs. Patha. Disrespectful until finally you get shut off, right? And the paramotor moons on my brother are like me getting 65% in accounting. And it ought have caused me to take stock on some Mrs. Patha's right. I need to behave in class, and so I can pass, do you understand? But in some people, it does not produce you taking stock. When you start to tank, when your stats start to tank, when you start to plummet, when you start to underachieve, whereas you're used to doing so excellently, you should take stock. And when you get rebuked by the person who's been rebuking you all along, telling you that this day is coming, when you're finally going to stop producing the kinds of fruit that you're producing in spite of your laziness, instead of responding with irritation, you should respond with humility. But rather, people respond with irritation on someone on jail. Like I was with Mrs. Patha on some, don't say nothing, please don't say nothing. When I finally got 65%, well, my brother was pretty much saying to God, don't say nothing. He was saying to God that was all over, don't say nothing, please don't say nothing. When he came home, bloody, 1 week before he died. It is that bloody shirt and those cuts on your body 1 week before you die that are supposed to make you stay home the next week. Open a Bible, go to church the next Sunday, and reconcile with your maker. That is the warning. Those are the pre-death wounds. And if you don't hearken, when you start to get wounds, when you start to get 65%, that's when the Lord then just finishes you off. This time you get 0 kanda. Oh, not ash. 0. That's when you die and endure a second death. What is the first thing that my brother thought when he arrived in eternity? I can't even tell you, but one thing I am certain of is that what's likely going on in his head, like a tape cassette going today, is the day when I told him, no, you're not born again because of tongues. This is what makes you saved. Your life. He remembers that God gave him cuts on his body from a fight the week before. To tell him to stay home next weekend. So ufole, because next weekend okopana nisithunya ko partying. I am partying and the cuts. Mumile. Abula. Likely all the times his mom took him to church. Hopola likely all the times they were cheeky white chatting. Why is that so? All the time he got bailed out, given a leniency by the police. All the times that the cops looked at him and said, how old are you, boy? 16, come on, man, don't do this thing. Gave him a slap on the wrist. But all the times that my dad had to go to the magistrate court to fight for him, because my dad was a lawyer, a criminal lawyer. So every so often my dad would do case tabo, and my dad, like I said, irresponsible himself. Those things are just going and going and going in his mind. But now there is no turning back. Now there is no turning back. Do you understand? So what I'm trying to get at right now is that, guys, that all this time that I've been speaking, some of y'all have been listening to me for years. The chick at YouTube, I think about 2 years ago, happening upon my content. Bribe from here to Timbuktu. So I've been saying, one day it's gonna reflect in your results. And it has not reflected in their results, at least not until now. Now it's reflecting in their results. In the sense that Batole 62%, Banza Batwa is 85. Well, 85%, honeys, is before the death, right? Not 85, 65% is what you get before the gunshot wound on your side. 65% is the final warning. When you start to be on a sliding scale, a slippery slope downwards. When you start to be on a sliding scale, a slippery slope downwards, and you achieve lowlier results than last week, it is at this particular juncture that you only have a week left on you. I told you this woman at YouTube is facing death. I am so pressed to pee, but I also need to go and take a shower. It's like 22:16. So I am going to stop this video here, and finish this talk. But I am still talking about CapCut, and I'm still talking about worthless Christians that aren't really Christians, and how it is that Anina's Kati. And I'm a doctrines that they give you. Saying that you're born again because you can speak in tongues. Your doctrines that they give you, I'm shaking doing the twist because I'm pressed to pee. Your doctrines that tell you that you're born again purely because you said the sinner's prayer. Being comforted in your insanity, telling you to go right when you're not. I read from the unrighteous branch from, Jeremiah 23 the other day, where it is that they tell people you're fine, you're going to be okay when you're not okay. False prophets out there lying to you, telling you that you're redeemed. Able to tell yourself that because you have a YouTube channel where you do the work of the Lord, you must therefore be born again. Understand? Just like CapCut, just like ByteDance, this thing ain't lang. 1997 yeah, this thing ain't lie. How do you, like I said, eat an elephant one piece at a time? One little piece at a time. Do you understand what I'm saying? Yeah. Do not look at how long it takes for prophecy to be fulfilled. They finally fall. My God is a God of process and a God of providence. And so therefore, Dinkana got to be picked away at. And God knows how to bring down umuntu that stubborn thing and spice kelem. The Lord knows how to bring such structures down. And I'm out here letting you know that now that you are sitting on 63%, because clearly that's what's going on. The chick at YouTube, pregnant, umiti. Agazi ukuthi ubani baby daddy. Chopper that ukhathethe kunonto patalwa. Ngibribe ke banna baleng stubborn that she is aware. Karabo will never capitulate, so please stop trying. Mara siko mo patala king. She's at 60%. Unanza thola 99. And like Miss Patha, she's irritated when I say these things because she's saying in her heart, don't say nothing, ma'am. Don't say nothing, please. Don't rub it in my face. But if I don't rub it in my face, next week you will be dead, like my brother. Next week there'll be a gunshot wound on your side, and not just a what do they call these cuts? A flesh wound, not just a flesh wound in Jafela that merely sliced you, gave you a Nike tick-looking scar. But you live. This time around, you've got a fatal wound. You are literally bleeding out, boy. Okay, so when you tell me don't say nothing, really? Like my brother. Before you died, what were you thinking? What was happening around your life? Let me go bath, Nyabu. I suspect that might be evident. Guess what? This morning. I think it's clear, otherwise I'd still be like, shut eye in my eye. Hey, I woke up this morning to recall Idoro, Tugu Enana. It was to flatten my hair. Because after all, how dila le bag lady. Sounds a little flat na miriraga. Hey, where did this thing fall? It's just like, whoa. Like, please, just get an order. Alright. Guys. I'm gonna carry on from where I left off. Y'all know I can do that well. This morning, one of these green pills, back in the day. Or maybe recently. Hi, man. Where's this thing? As in Katele, T. Khatsi. Nka ke hetsi mona. Ching. Khatsi. Eka plastic nana. Anare etong iluda ha botlhoko ha kana. Nna ha ke nana ka nna ntse ke batla le dintho. Mama stressing. Re tla bona later ha se re phutha mo. Ho fedile se ke la bona. I had a dream, yo. Ke lo re le dintwa tsa go occulting. Baba shebile YouTube channel ya ka, the new one, the only audience I have. Ba sa etseng sense bang mametseng ka tsenyana ele ya go bola, ya go tawa, ya Satan. Ke ha la hopla dipilisi tse tsa back in the day. Those pills from back in the day. I say back in the day because ke di tsenegale, but maybe they're still in your closet. They're still in your bathroom cabinet. Angazi. It's green. They do open green like this, like green this green over here. I'm sure it's covered by my scripture of the day. That green, whatever. Either way, you'll still be able to see it through the scripture swinging or bouncing. Green yana ejama. Dipilisi tsa elene. Nele tsa headache. Ke lorile this chick. Ka thola ntshwane ke batla. Ke lorile this chick wa ko YouTube. Afa banna ba bangata ke tsebe go ba ikae la nkutla. Giving these crazy men dipilisi tseo tsa tlhogo tsa from back in the day. God showing me hore that's how she hands out your ministry. Like they're pills in a plastic and offer one after the other. Over text, WhatsApp or something. She's gone live. Because she cannot tell them, she cannot download. I already told you earlier, she can't download it and then give it to them while it's still privatized because it's just too much work. So she's told them every time when she's got something new, I'll send you a WhatsApp and then you'll have to go to your YouTube channel. And the Lord shows me that her sending this WhatsApp is like her giving them dipilisi one after the other. One second. Hi guys, I tried to correct the angle of my camera. It's but whatever, it's still doing what it needs to do. Her giving these guys these pills and them taking them. I didn't wake up, asking God, yo, what's with the dipilisi that it's back in the day? Why those ones? And the Lord was like, precisely because they've got a headache. But like a headache, and dipilisi green in particular because they are jealous, not just the women, but because that's what happens when people are in the world lost and they are dealing with Christians. Deep down inside, it's an envy, a covetousness over that which the saints have, that you have rejected. It's like the devil, his hatred of the human race, the way I need to like below my nose. The way that he out here scratching us, putting us in a cockpit. He's a sumo wrestler. It is for no other reason than the fact that he is low-key, deep down inside, at the very foundation of the matter, covetous of the human race's possibility to be restored to God, and the fact that upon embracing him, they don't have to endure an inevitable judgment like the devil will endure, that inevitable judgment, the judgment of which is the lake of fire, just burning forever and ever with no reprieve, day and night, there is no rest for you. That is what the devil is facing. He is judged, and Hannah's shot at entering God's rest. So his response is to basically blaspheme. It's written in God's word in, I believe, the book of Daniel 12, that, or is it Revelation 12? Daniel 7 and Revelation 12. I stand corrected, but that these entities, these fallen ones, they blaspheme those who are in heaven, and they revile the name. They accuse of the brethren that is cast out, that made war with the saints and overcame them. All that he can do is blaspheme the legions of heaven and their God. Yeah, because what else can you do? He comes from heaven, he comes from being doted over, from being loved. He comes from being embraced and accepted. And then he fell out. And now he doesn't have a shot at recovery. So all he can do is afflict the human race. But he afflicts us precisely because he doesn't have that which we have. Think about angels, non-fallen, holy angels. They don't have that kind of ugly relationship with us. They love us, they have our back, they cater to us, they are charged concerning us. Theirs is to basically minister on the earth at the instruction of God within their willingness, lovingly, as they are working for a God that also has loved them, a God that also has doted over them. My mom has a favoritism problem. And I'm not that girl. And when you are not loved or not wanted as much as other people, you will ask yourself, what is wrong with me? Not only that, you will low-key covet how it is or be sorrowful, alright, over how it is that other people that ought to be getting the same treatment as you are rather receiving favorable treatment. And it'll eat you inside, because who is your creator? Who is your originator? Who is this person that brought you into this world? The very one that is unfair, partial, treating one sibling better than another, or two siblings better than another. I experienced that, and especially with my little sister. When she was born, I kept on saying when she was in the belly of my mom, I'm pretty sure that you are carrying in your belly. You're not going to treat this child like that. Just you wait and see. I used to say that to her as a teenager, and she would be like, before my sister was born, my baby sister, even before she was conceived, I was like, I know how because you treat me differently from my older sister. And she was like, "Hi Suga, you're speaking nonsense. And I have your older sister I get to be why or compare, because you're not even in the same household. Because when my sister was 16, she already moved to Italy. So the chunk of my teenage years, I was kind of alone in the house. So every time I would use my older sister as a barometer to let my mom know that you're unfair. She would be like, scholarship, so I get to go out get favor. And then she fell pregnant with my baby sister when I was 16. And this baby sister of mine was born when I was halfway through my 16th year, going on my 17th year. She fell pregnant with my baby sister when I think I was at the end of my whatever, but she was born somewhere she wasn't born in 2001. I was in grade 11, so in 2001, and I was turning 17. Alright, yeah, so she fell pregnant with my baby sister then when she was 16, when I was 16, so yeah. And when the baby was in the bun, I remember thinking, yeah, now it's my turn to prove that this woman is partial. I get partial, prove these things. Alright, yeah, so every time my mom would pull a stunt, every time she would not do something for me, every time she would miss a meeting, I'd be like, you are going to be there for her. Meetings my mom throughout high school, what grade am I in? She only knew what grade I was in grade 8 because I had moved to high school, and in matric because I was the last year of school. I could have been in grade 8, 9, 10, 11. It didn't matter. Like paying actual close attention to and I noticed these things, and they were very frightening and upsetting to me. And when she fell pregnant with my baby sister, I was like, yo, give more opportunity. I grabbed it and I was like, evidence because or available essentially. The way because there's going to be completely different treatment between the two of us, between and my mom was like, "Hi, I don't know what you're talking about." One day on some each other must feeling and it proven like school fees university focus you are meeting and I kept saying see until I got old enough my own things that I stopped complaining about. What's the point saying Mara, it caused me to long for the love that my mom was giving my little sister. I coveted it. I longed for it. And when you long for the way that somebody aradiwa, you will develop a passive aggression and a hostility in yourself against the person that is more favored than you, right? A bit of a growling energy. How I for ene. Like I said, a passive aggression. And I had that passive aggression against my baby sister until I got born again and realized and then frankly, let me go and have my own family, raise my children better than that. Let me do a better thing. The Holy Spirit enabled me to exercise what we call self-control over coveting my little sister and relationship Mara, still to this day, it's a sirlamun, it hurts, especially considering my mom threw me under the bus. She threw me under the bus. Screensaver sa hake my little sister, dinepeta mo laptop nkena, uwaga ena fela, hebana. And if my older sister had not dropped the ball, if my older sister the way that I was saying cutting, Mewaga would still favor my older sister like that. Essentially, I'm that middle child. And you know that middle child issue where it is that abazali bakho, they will treat you ngathi awukho, you're not in the room. How exist azange watsalwa, awuna ntho etsagetseng ka wena. Please kopa nje fela re ska pay attention mo nthong tse ngata ha o motho. Yeah, when you're a middle kid, you will suffocate under that kind of tyranny from parents. I just let this thing be skew. It's disturbing me, Marakitaisa. Yeah, you will suffocate under that tyranny under parents, where you're like largely ignored, man. You know, you were not the first to come. They were kind of used to you. And azangwa Jewish wagawena, because the last child usually, planets or something, let this be the last one, and they tend sometimes to be a big gap between the first and the last, or the middle and the last. Unplanned for, and joy into a family that has long sort of kind of dissipated. Not only that, a lot of times when the last born is born, the kind of striving that exists in the family. Like in the beginning, in a young couple, like financially, anymore. So there's a lot more money to basically enjoy parenting instead of just be afflicted. You can afford more, like you can afford help, like nannies, better. You can afford to get better things for the kid. Better. You've got more time on your hands, because strangely, even though the loftier you get up the corporate ladder or within an entrepreneurial space, that you ought to be working harder because you're gaining promotions. But strangely, the more people grow up these ladders, the less work they have. I mean, I thoroughly remember a time when our senior managers and executives would be out of the office by 3 p.m. How do you earn so much money and yet I'm here longer hours than you? I guess they've done the time. They just get people reporting into them what's going on, and they oversee. But they, for the larger majority, golf, and they approve decisions on the phone while playing golf, right? So essentially, the loftier your career, the more time you actually have on your hands for kids. So enjoy that. Yeah. And I saw that happen with my little sister. My mom had more money, she had more leg room, blah blah, and she was more attentive, and it caused, like I said, a bitterness inside me that I had to conquer by the Holy Spirit type establishment thing. Yeah, well, that whole thing I told you, Njafela, to be long winding, because that's what my sister can do. I can do that. Yeah. To help you understand the word Satani, even though God is not partial, he's not a man, sorry, he's not a respecter of persons. He does not show favoritism. He does award favor to his saints, in the sense that if you are his disciple, you will certainly have one up on the rest of the world. But he is not partial. He is not partial. He's not a respecter of persons. But human beings are, however, that tendency towards coveting the love of your creator, your maker, your mom, your dad. Yeah. It dwells in every last progeny, every last offspring. And if you're not being doted over, if you're not being showered with affection, if you're not being focused on, if your results are not awaited with bated breath by your parents after they give your report card because they're that careful for your performance, if your mom or your dad just don't care, but they care for some other child, some other person, yes, I could listen. My mom, like the way Japan said towards me, there was even a stranger girl that came to live with Jesu. Then my mom favored above me. I wanted to move back home, and she was like, "No, I'm like, what the heck?" Like, yeah, this chick. She eventually kicked this chick out because one of the type establishment thing that caused her to be taken off. Only then could I return home. But I remember thinking, you're thoroughly telling me that you don't want me coming back home because there's already too many children in the house. That kid is not even your biological child. I've had that happen to me. Earthly parents have got that era, right, where they abandon kids for no other reason than the fact that however, if the Lord throws you out on a curb, if he kicks you to the curb, if he puts you out on what you call a limb, if the Lord abandons you, honey, it is not because God is into forsaking children just the way that parents let go of the middle kid and favor the firstborn child or the last kid. No, he has cast you out because you have rebelled against his precepts. You have turned your face against him. Nothing impure, nothing unholy can be in his grill. However, the feelings that people, that I guess beings, created beings, have pertaining their parent or their originator are pretty much ubiquitous, and Satan covets or envies the human race because of the fact that his creator, his maker, wants nothing to do with him. He's been cast out, and he's taking it out by doing what? Laparing us. By doing what? Ravazaring us. By doing what? Punching us. Uppercut, Kung Fu, Bruce Lee. Doing what? Killing us. Doing what? Making the world resent us, loathe us, want nothing to do with us. Mar, when you look at Usatan, grab a magnifying glass, careful speculation, careful interrogation. When you do that, when you look very closely under a microscope, you will discover, you will find out right? Unlike my mom, who had no reason to treat me like this. I already told you stories about teachers. I thought teachers would convince her that your daughter's great, but she still didn't even know what grade I was in grade 10. Type establishment thing. Because she suffered from postpartum depression and a whole bunch of things, and there was a lot of sorrow and going on in her life during the time when I was growing up, so I feel like she just took it out on me. And she never seemed to recover either. Still to this day, it's still a thing in 2025, and I'm 40 now, alright? Yeah, that's what's good. Mara, like I said, with me, there was nothing to account for why mina ngingathandwa as much. Do you understand? Whereas with Satan, you can see why he was cast out. Now, these guys, green. Green is jealous, right? It represents jealousy. In my dreams, it's always jealousy, just in the same way that in waking life, it's jealousy. It's the way that I relate to the color green that then the Lord communicates it to me. It's not that technical, all right? It's not about some dream journal, just the fact that that's how I see jealousy, as green, because that's what the world teaches it as, right? Yeah, I see these green pills, mara, from back in the day, they're headache tablets, right? And the headache tablets is a thing. You can only take them. It's like pain stop, man. Pain stop when you drink it. Yeah, when I was good, that's a story that I did about the vomiting and the painkillers that I took. And then the migraine combined with the pain stop made me vomit like for hours on end. Yeah, that story that I told you. Yeah, those pills. Still, it's a green. From back in the day, there was 2 green pills that Maga would give us, and they would knock out the headache, but they would also knock us out. They would knock out both the headache and the patient. Dipilisi tseo ke ha mosadinyana o go YouTube o ke mmitsang matlakala a di hand out to banna ba ba go occulting ke di pain stop wa nkutwa ke di pain stop mara ke di headache tablets, and they are green in color, and they cause a great deal of drowsiness, and this chick was handing them out. In other words, my 12-part video that I just posted now, it's called these people are a haunting, but they will one day be a haunting unto themselves, because God is going to rock up and be the be-all and end-all of a ghost. That video, that series that I posted, occulting as pain stop, the Lord showing me, why are you jealous? Why are even men jealous of me? Yes, I'm dealing with a whole bunch of effeminate monsters. Skidi cherry by here. Wangudra. They are like girls. They envy women. Type of guy. When you buy a car, you be like, nice. Because he is an envious boyfriend. It's a spirit. It's an effeminate spirit. It is not building manhood in you until you can appreciate everything about a woman that is womanly, so as to not covet your own girlfriend. When you don't wear your own manhood, when you don't wear manhood as a man, you will thoroughly, if you don't seek the Lord's face to recover to you lost manhood, because that's what's happening with our men. And women too are also